Now, during the lockdowns, allotments have been one place where most plot holders were able to visit as usual, growing their own, pottering around the potting sheds in the fresh air. All very good. A welcome break from life in the pandemic.
2 years ago, Walsall Road Allotments in Perry Bar in Birmingham, which are right next door to the Alexander Stadium, were under threat. Now, after a huge campaign spearheaded by Robert, the allotment cat, Betty and the allotment owners, the site was saved. Now, in the first of a new series, I've been digging into life there to see what makes them so special. They've been growing their own here for 120 years. A friendly community where there's plenty of encouragement, advice, and a world-famous cat called Robert. During the pandemic, it's been a sanctuary for many. There's always something to sow, plant, nurture, weed, or harvest. A reminder that life goes on, whatever is happening in the outside world. It's fitting that the allotments here are in the shadow of the Alexander Stadium, given that we've got the Commonwealth Games coming to the Midlands in 2022. But you don't have to wait that long to see the diversity. Just on these plots alone, there are more than 22 different nationalities represented. Teresina Roberts grew up in Brazil and says the allotments allow her to grow plants which she uses in a different way.
I grow several plants that I get color from. For example, this one here is woad, and from the young leaves I can get blue like this, and this has been used for well over 5,000 years to give colors.
Yeah. What does this plant do?
That plant there that is like a rosette is called woad, and from that you get yellow that I use to dye that.
Teresina, tell us about the flax plants that you have.
Yes, I grow flax here in the ground, and inside the stems you can see those fibers that look like hair. From this I spin it on a spinning wheel and I get the linen fiber, which I then make into jumpers or tea towels.
Andre Bean is studying zoology. His love of nature began when he was a child, and he's been coming to the allotment since he was 14. Who's the inspiration for your gardening?
Definitely my mum. My mum is the main gardener of the house, so everything to do with gardening in the house kind of comes from her.
What have been the big successes for you guys?
The big successes, definitely our pumpkins, potatoes and our strawberries. They were our favourites last year, and we seem to have loads to spare all the time. And I think we're going to try and work a bit more on lettuce and cabbage this year. Hopefully the slugs won't get to them as much.
Some of the gardeners have been coming to the allotments for years, including Leela Scott, whose plot is her oasis. She says it was vital during the lockdown.
We're actually recommended to have exercise, but a better place to have exercise.
So you've had a good lockdown in that sense?
Oh yes, it's been a... That's not the right thing to say, but in a way, lockdown has been wonderful.
Next door to Leela is Tony, who's a relative newcomer to the allotments, but has already made a big difference to his plot. You're a yoga teacher, so a lot of it is about mindfulness and being at one with nature. You're practicing that, aren't you?
Yeah, so we, as humans, we're part of nature, but somehow we've disconnected ourselves. We think we are all and everything, but actually we're all part of the organism as well. And I think having an allotment does put you in touch with that.
Not all the allotments are used for growing plants. Kate Millington has converted part of her area into a safe haven for chickens. She's been rescuing them from battery farms for years.
I live in a flat, I don't have a garden, so as soon as I got the allotment I thought I've always wanted to keep chickens. So I rescued ex-battery chickens. They come from the battery cages, and at a certain age the chickens are all sent to be culled. So I went off to a farm to collect some bald, scared chickens who'd never been outside and never pecked grass, and brought them here, and now they just have such a lovely retirement. I think they're a lot friendlier than people think. They've got such little personalities. You can see Bella's really relaxed, so I love to come, and they bring me a lot of enjoyment as well.
Yeah, and what do the other allotment holders think of the chickens here?
Oh, they're celebrities. Everyone brings their kids to see them. They bring their friends to come and see them. They bring them veg that they don't want and things like that.
Meanwhile, the easy pace of life continues at the allotments, and that serenity is something Church Minister Elaine Hutchinson appreciates.
I live on an estate and I don't have a garden. It's a place for me to kind of unwind. It's a place where I can rest. I can come in and I can have a cup of tea, and I can sit and read and dream. A lot of what we do as gardeners is dream. We stare a lot at the soil and hope for what we're going to grow in the next season. So yeah, the rainy days, cold days doesn't stop me from kind of coming here.
What would you say is the best tip I could have as somebody who's doing gardening but not an expert, obviously?
One of the best tips is little and often. Then you kind of don't get overwhelmed with all that you've got to do. If you do it in little bits and often.
Very good advice, isn't it? Because it is hard work, and they are lovely people. And I have to do a special mention to Robert, the allotment cat. And there we go, we've got a picture of him. And he's so beautiful as a cat, but he was really quite happy to come and sit next to me at the end of the shoot. I was tired, 5 hours standing in the sun, hard work, not. And he just let me stroke him, really. So it was lovely. Yeah. Lovely to meet him.
Yeah. And as you say, he's got a worldwide
absolutely. It's huge
following
on social media.
Yeah.